This is a game in the T110E5, the Tier 10 American heavy tank on Live Oaks. We've done Live Oaks before in one of these things, but I wanted to talk about it a little bit more from the perspective of a heavy tank. And so I think I was in a scout tank last time, and I talked about going into this B4 area and how you wanted your team. If you secured this B4 area, you could light these guys as they cross through A5, and you want your heavies to be able to move up in time to cut them off from getting into position, and that's what I'm going to illustrate here from the heavies point of view. So what's going to happen is that Sela's going to move up into here, Blue's going to get into a position where he can deal damage to the guys that are lit, and I am going to move to seal off the position that they're going to try to get through. And what we're going to try to do is get them into this position where they're sitting in a kill box in the open and they don't really have any place to go. And that's the goal here. So this is a pretty usual dispersion. We've got some slow tanks behind us. This T-71 is sort of sniping, which is fine. Whatever. So Sela's doing his job. He moved up to the B4. Blue's sitting back on this corner right here so he can get shots. You can sit there. You can be a little bit further back if you like. It's usually nicer if you're in a 50B if you're a little bit more forward, because I might need his help because I don't have a whole lot of backup where I'm at. So Sela spotted those guys in that A5 position, and they're sort of they paused, right? They sort of got a little bit scared, and so that's going to give me an opportunity to cross here for free.
It's a trap.
And then what I want to do is I want to prevent them from moving up into this area right here. So I want to move forward and make sure that they're too afraid to move out of a position that's somewhat safe. So we know that they have at least 5 tanks over here. And you'll notice that the path that I took was not through the one line. I didn't go all the way to the outside like if you're looking at where low is in C1. I took a direct route because I knew that we were going to have spots coming up through B4. And now I just want to deny them from being able to move forward. So I want them to know that I'm here. And I also have to be safe from artillery as well, though. And so this little water tower does provide some protection. When you have this many people with this many artillery, usually there's at least one of them to the south, so you're gonna have to be careful on that south side. And then now these guys are just stuck, right? They're behind some destructible buildings, but once those destructible buildings go down, this Evil 5 decides that he should try to move forward, and Blue is able to take him out pretty quickly. So so they're pinned. They're going to have a hard time moving forward because Blue and everyone else is going to shoot them. And if they stay where they're at, eventually those buildings are going to get knocked down. Artillery is going to have shots on them, etc., etc., etc. There's a T-30 that's behind me that's been itching to die, so he moved up early and he got himself shot. So all we're really trying to do here is just keep these guys lit and keep them back in their position right now, because when they're back there, that means that eventually they're going to get whittled down, right? They're not in a very good position, and so if we're patient here, then that's all we have to do. Eventually they're going to get whittled. And sometimes that's what you have to do, even in a heavy tank where you confront. Is sometimes the best thing to do is just let your rest of your team do work, right? All of these guys are kind of fixated on us, right? They're not really shooting anyone else on our team. When T-30 was just a little bit impatient. And so we only got 3 shots of damage out of that entire exchange, but our team was able to just completely wreck them, right? Completely wreck them in that A4, A5 area. And so that's what's important. Unfortunately, we are losing on the south, and so we're going to head back. So typically what you'll want to do in a 3-man platoon like this is you'll assign somebody to go after the artillery. In this case, it's going to end up being Blue, and then everyone else goes back. I usually go back, and if I'm in a hull down tank, because if you get into where this batch at 155-58 is, you can light the cap, and it makes it really difficult for them to cap as long as their artillery is down. So I'm going to move back there and get set up for that. And you'll see a couple of our artillery are running away, which is a smart thing to do. We've secured the north, so there's no reason for them to stay down there. And the third guy is just kind of sitting there. You'll notice that those guys shall live because of their foresight. And so I'm still waiting for blue to chase down the artillery, so we have to be a little bit patient.
It's a trap!
And so I just want to try to prevent this pattern from crossing if I can, because if I can save this GW Tiger P, that would be fantastic. But he's just kind of sitting out there, so I'm not sure that I'll be able to do that.
It's a trap!
And the Indian Panzer is able to take out the GW Tiger P, unfortunately, but Sella is able to take out that pattern. So everything now is in front of me. Again, there's at least one artillery still active, but blue should be able to catch up to him soon, so I just want to keep moving, make sure that I'm not an easy target. And then we'll just push towards these last remaining guys.
It's a trap!
And blue's caught up to that last artillery. And unfortunately I get tracked there.
Track repaired. Drive on. They're knocked out.
And then just mop up, mop up, mop up. And so the important thing that I was trying to point out here occurred at that beginning area. So Sella what goes over here, and blue gets set up over in this area. And essentially what happens is we detect them coming through A5, and they hold up, they pause. And that allows me to get over into this A3 area to protect it, to prevent them from driving up here. Because once they get up in this area over here, then they're much safer. But if I can prevent them from coming up here, if I can make them hold out in this area right here, then we're just going to tee off on them all game. And so we traded really well right there, and that gave us the sort of health pool which allowed us to fight all of these guys on the south, because we ended up losing on the south, which is fine because we ended up dominating on the north. And so that's sort of a key part to working this map as a heavy tank. And so if we look at the stats, I mean, not a super hyper fantastic game. We did 3.7k damage. We also did like 3.7k spotting. But again, sometimes what you do in terms of your positioning is just as important as your contributions in terms of damage and or damage on detect. And again, so Sella did a good job of dealing damage from his position, and blue did as well. And again, so I can't stress this enough. Just because we did have them as fish in the barrel, that allowed us to wreck them up north, which gave us the we had enough health left over then to go back to the south and still be able to clear that out. It wasn't like when we went back to the south, we were all one shot at that point. So anyhow, I hope that's instructive for playing the E5 and a little bit more information on live oaks. And thanks for watching.